So many of us know someone who's been touched by breast cancer, whether it's a close relative, a coworker, or a friend.
The National Cancer Institute says about 1 in 8 women will get that diagnosis in their lifetime. And in 2024 alone, the American Cancer Society estimates that this country will see more than 42,000 breast cancer deaths. But in the interest of early detection, we've learned 2024 will also bring about a major update for mammograms.
Reporter Heather Graff explains the new federal regulations and how women fighting the disease inspire change.
There are certain moments in life
We met in July of 1993.
that stay with you forever.
She was quite beautiful. She was also a Fulbright scholar and had a degree in journalism, a degree in nursing, and a master's in social work.
The day of Wayne and Kathy Tatusko's wedding, perhaps the highest of highs.
Got married in July of 1994.
And the day they learned she had late-stage breast cancer,
The lump was, I think, maybe 3 centimeters.
the lowest of lows. At the time, the couple was worried but also confused because Kathy had been diligent about getting yearly mammograms.
The mammogram that came out in March of 2009 was clean.
She found the lump in her breast just a couple months after that clean screening, and only then did doctors send Kathy for supplemental imaging.
It's a little screen that we could see right there sitting next to us, and I'm with Kathy at this appointment, and we look and the text says, oh, there's the cancer,
Just like that?
just like that. And we saw it as clear as a bell. It was growing undetected.
The Tatuskos wanted to know how the cancer was initially missed.
Obviously, there was the question, why did this not show up on my mammograms? And the answer was, because you have dense breasts.
Had she or you ever heard the term dense breasts?
No, we'd never heard the term. And she did a lot of research.
And that research then led Kathy to another woman with a similar story.
I found out I had breast cancer, I found out I had dense breasts, and I found out my cancer had been missed because of dense breasts, all within 10 minutes of each other.
Joanne Pushkin is a breast cancer survivor turned advocate for public education on breast density. The DenseBreastInfo.org website she founded aims to break it all down for patients, explaining that dense breast tissue shows up white on a mammogram, and so does cancer.
It's like trying to find a snowball in a blizzard.
We heard the same from breast imaging experts like Dr. Pune Razavi of Johns Hopkins Medicine, who says about half of women over 40 in this country have dense breasts.
When we say dense breast tissue, it means there is more glandular tissue in the breast than fatty tissue. The white is the dense breast tissue.
Inside her office, Razavi showed us the challenge this creates for radiologists.
Cancers are oftentimes white as well, so white on white is harder to see.
And not only can dense breast tissue hide cancers in mammograms, according to health officials, it's also been linked to an increased cancer risk.
It's good for a patient to know their dense breast tissue status so that they can have the conversation with their doctor as to if they should pursue any additional imaging, for example, the ultrasound or the MRI of the breast.
So when Kathy Tatusko's cancer went into remission, she began pushing for change in her home state of Virginia and wanted women there to be notified of their breast density post-mammogram.
Well, it meant a lot to Kathy because she knew that it would save lives.
And she said, I want to have a bill and get it through the General Assembly.
Sue Rust is a dear friend of Kathy's, who then drove her to the state capitol for the first of many meetings with lawmakers. The two women seen here in 2012, when the governor signed that breast density bill into law.
We had enough people who just felt it was genuinely the right thing to do. That's all Kathy.
And around the same time, Joanne Pushkin led the effort to pass similar legislation where she lives in New York.
Many states that followed used the New York bill as template for their own language.
To date, Joanne says more than 36 states require some level of breast density notification after a mammogram. But the laws can vary depending on where you are. That's why Joanne, Kathy, and many others have long believed a policy at the national level would help.
What a single national reporting standard does is make sure that all U.S. women at least receive the same baseline information about their breast density.
And now, more than a decade later, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has announced it will do just that.
So we're trying to make sure that women are armed with that information.
The FDA's chief medical officer telling Investigate TV Plus the new regulations take effect on September 10th of this year. They lay out specific, universal language that mammogram facilities will be mandated to send to patients, identifying their breast density level plus what it means, and suggested next steps.
You get the same language no matter where you are across the country.
Do you think this will help with early detection of breast cancer?
I absolutely think so. Here's the thing though, it won't help if people don't go out and get their mammograms. So if I had to say one thing today, the top message from us is please go out and get your mammograms.
She had just turned 61.
If only Kathy was here to see this moment.
She would be very happy. She'd be very pleased.
Instead, the cancer came back and Wayne lost her in 2016.
You know, it's difficult.
And still, he can't help but wonder, what if?
Do you think that if breast density notifications had been required sooner, that Kathy might still be here?
I don't think there's any question.
Now, breast cancer survivors and advocates are certainly celebrating this FDA change regarding breast density notification, but they also say the fight isn't finished. And to that end, in 2023, a pair of lawmakers on Capitol Hill introduced the Find It Early Act. If approved, that legislation would require all health insurance plans to cover additional screenings and diagnostic breast imaging at no cost to patients, including mammograms, ultrasounds, and MRIs. Because for the roughly 27 million American women with dense breasts, those supplemental screenings can be costly. In Washington, I'm Heather Graff.